We studied about Rupa Vajra status, form sphere consciousness. I told you how jhana is attained, what to practice, and also I think I told you about the difference between jhana factors, and jhana consciousness. Now, among the 10 kasinas, I think Kala kasina is easier to make. So if you want to try kasina meditation, you can try one of the Kala kasinas. This is white kasina. So you may make something like this if you want to practice kasina meditation. Now, do not put blue, red or yellow around it, because there are 4 colors: blue, red, yellow and white. So this is white kasina. So it should look something like this. But it should not be smaller than this. If it is too small, then it's difficult to keep your mind there. So, by the practice of kasina meditation or some other meditation which leads to the attainment of jhanas, a yogi, a meditator attains jhana consciousness. These jhana consciousness are accompanied by mental factors, and among them 5 are called factors of jhana factors. And the first jhana is accompanied by 5 jhana factors. So those are Vitakka, Vichara, Piti, Sukha and Ekaggata. So I want you to get them in Pali. On the English side also I put the Pali words because they take less space. So what is Vitakka? They are all mental factors, and so we'll be studying these again in the 2nd chapter. But I think a little of it will do here. So what is Vitakka? It is translated as initial application. That means initial application of mind to the object. Now in the discourses, Vitakka, the word Vitakka is used to mean thought. But in Abhidhamma, it means not just thought, it means a mental factor that mounts the mind onto the object, or that takes the mind onto the object, that directs the mind onto the object. So that mental factor is called Vitakka in Abhidhamma as a technical term. But in the suttas you may find Vitakka used for thought, like Vitakka Santana Sutta, to still distracting thoughts. So Vitakka is a mental factor which takes the mind, takes the consciousness, takes the citta to the object. That means without Vitakka it is difficult for the citta to get onto the mind. Many cittas need Vitakka for them to take to the object, but there are some that do not need Vitakka. They will come later. Okay, that is Vitakka. And Vichara vichara means investigating or pondering upon something like that. But here, vichara means not that. Again, as a technical term in Abhidhamma, vichara is a mental factor, we just here translated as sustained application. So that means first vitaka takes the consciousness to the object, and then vichara keeps it there. So vitaka and vichara are like two different mental factors, which are concerned with taking the mind to the object and then keeping it there. But it may seem that vitaka comes first and then vichara follows it. But in actual occurrence, they arise at the same time. So here, with this jhana consciousness also, they arise at the same time. Now, vitaka and vichara, the difference between vitaka and vichara is given in the manual. Page 57. The commentaries, about 5 or 6 lines down from the top. The commentaries offer various similes to highlight the difference between these two jhana factors. Vitaka is like a bird spreading out its wings to fly. Vichara is like the birds gliding through the air with outstretched wings. So vitaka is like the bird trying to get into the sky. And then vichara is the bird gliding through the air with the outstretched wings. So if we take a modern simile, I think we can take the airplane. So the first takeoff, right? That is vitaka. And then when it reaches the cruise level, then it goes on and on the same way. So that is vichara. So there is first vitaka and then vichara here. And then vitaka is like a bee diving towards a flower. Vichara is like the bees buzzing above the flower. Same thing, right? So here the bird flew down towards the flower, and that is like, vichara is like that. I mean, vitaka is like that, and vichara is like the bee buzzing above the flower. And then vitaka is like the hand that holds a tarnished metal dish. Vichara is like the hand that wipes the dish. So there will be some dish which is dirty and you want to clean it, and then you take hold of it with one hand, and then with the other hand, with the cleaning brush or something, you rub it, you clean it. So vitaka is like the hand that holds the dish, and vichara is like the hand that rubs the dish. Okay. I don't know whether that is all. So how many similes have you got now?
3.
3 similes. What?
Birds,
The
bees,
bird,
bees, the airplane,
bee, and
the dish.
hands taking hold of and rubbing the dish. And the other similes given in the commentary are when a potter makes pots, say he turns around the wheel and make the pot, right? So when the wheel is turning, he will take hold of the clay with one hand, and then with the other hand he will make shapes or mold it into a pot or something. So taking hold of the clay is with, like Vitakka is like that, and Vijara is like the other hand, making shapes or forms. And also when you make a circle, let's say you want to make a circle on the ground, then you put a spike, right? You put a spike in the middle, and then you use a rope, and there's another spike outside. So the center spike, Vitakka is like center spike, and Vijara is like the spike outside, going round and round and round. So there are many similes given in the commentaries to understand the difference between Vitakka and Vijara. And the third jhana factor is piti. Now this what we have to retain the Pali form. Translating it into English is never satisfactory. So it is translated as zest, so in this book, and others translated as joy and rapture, happiness, pleasurable interest. So there are many translations for this one word piti. So it is always good to retain the Pali word, even if you use the English translation. For example, if you use the word joy for piti, then you use joy, and then within parentheses put the word Pali word piti, so that the people do not misunderstand. So piti is derived from a verb pi, meaning to refresh. So when you have piti, you are like refreshed. And it is a pleasurable interest in the object. In the manual it is said, the term is often translated as rapture, a rendering which fits role as a jhana factor, but may not be wide enough to cover all its nuances. So it is better to retain the Pali. Now there are 5 kinds of piti given in the commentaries, and they are also given in the manual. So I want you to read them. The commentators distinguish 5 grades of piti that arise when developing concentration. Number 1, minor piti. Number 2, momentary piti. Number 3, showering piti. Number 4, uplifting piti. And number 5, pervading piti. So there are 5 kinds of piti. Minor piti is able to raise the hairs on the body. Now, sometimes when you have piti, you may feel goose flesh, right? The hair standing on end. So that is minor piti, the lowest level of piti. And then the next one is momentary piti. It is like flashes of lightning. So once in a while, you feel that piti in your body, or also in your mind. And then the next one is showering piti. It breaks over the body again and again like waves on the seashore. So momentary piti may come just once in a while. This showering piti may come more often, like waves breaking on the seashore. And the fourth one is uplifting piti, that can cause the body to levitate. In the commentary, two stories are given. So one is a story of a monk who, by the power of pity, was able to fly through the air and reach the pagoda. And the other was about a woman. She was pregnant, and there was a festival, pagoda festival going on. So she wanted to go to the festival, but her parents said, you are too advanced in your pregnancy, and so you should not go there. So she had to be left at home. But she could see the festival going on from a distance, and she could also hear the chanting made by the monks at the pagoda. And so she was so joyous seeing and hearing this, that she got this kind of uplifting pity. And it is said that she just flew through the air, and she reached the pagoda before her parents. So she was sitting there and listening to the preaching. So when her parents saw her, they asked her how she came. And then she said, I came through the air. No, you cannot. Only the arahants could fly through the air. But he said, I don't know, but I was thinking of the pagoda festival going on. And then, next thing I knew, I flew through the air and alighted on the platform of the pagoda. So the uplifting pity can cause body to move, to go up in the air, even though it is not easy to experience uplifting pity which can levitate your body. You may have experienced pity which can move your body to this side or that side. Sometimes when you practice meditation and when you have this pity, your body will move here and there. So the last one is called what? Pervading pity. That means that pervades the whole body, as an inundation fills a cavern. Now in our countries, we use a simile of a cotton put in the oil. Surgical cotton can absorb water very easily. So you put the cotton in the oil of water, and then the oil of water is absorbed into the cotton like that. So this kind of pity is felt all through the body, the whole of the body. So it is pervading pity. Or like a flood, say, filling a cave or something like that. So all these five kinds of pity are experienced by meditators at one time or another during their practice of meditation. And here, in this jhana, the fifth piti is experienced. So piti here means not the first four, but the last one, pervading piti. So pervading, a person who is in the state of jhana experiences this pervading piti. The next is sukha. Sukha is translated as happiness. But sukha here means somanasa, not the sukha in ahituka cetas. Here sukha means just somanasa. So, and somanasa means feeling, right? Vedana. So it is a feeling. So this sukha is born of detachment from sensual pleasures. So in order to get jhana, you have to avoid sensual pleasures. So this sukha is born of detachment from sensual pleasures. So it is therefore explained as niramisa sukha, that means unworldly or spiritual happiness. And then the next one is Ekagata. Before we go to Ekagata, we have to understand the difference between piti and sukha. They are very much alike. They arise at the same time. So their difference is also difficult to understand. But the commentaries have the similes. So piti and sukha are closely connected. They are distinguished in that. Piti is a cognitive factor belonging to the aggregate of mental formations. Piti is not feeling. Although we think that piti is feeling, actually piti is not feeling. It belongs to sankhara aggregate. And sukha is a feeling belonging to the aggregate of feeling. So aggregate of vedana. So first, please note this difference. Piti belongs to sankhara aggregate and sukha belongs to vedana aggregate. So that is one difference. Piti is compared to the delight a weary traveler would experience when coming across an oasis, sukha to his pleasure after bathing and drinking. So piti is, that is why piti is translated as pleasurable interest. So the pleasurable interest is aroused in him when he sees or when he hears about something. So here, say, a man is traveling on a journey or maybe in a forest, and then he was tired and he was thirsty or something like that. And then he may met another person, and that person would tell him that, say, at some distance there is an oasis or there is a forest with a pond and something like that. And so when he approached that place, first he hears from the man, and then he hears the noise of birds or other people, or he may met people having enjoyed water there and coming in the opposite direction. So all these, at all these times, he is experiencing piti. Then he reaches the place and he bathes in the pond, and he may eat some lotus. There are some lotus that you can eat. So he partake of whatever there is. So at that time, and then he may rest under the shade of a tree or something like that, enjoying happiness. So that at that moment he is experiencing sukha. So piti and sukha are different. Piti is before enjoying, right? Sukha is enjoying. So before enjoying, you just see or hear about something, and that is piti. And when you actually enjoy it, there is sukha, because there is enjoyment, feeling. So that is the difference between piti and sukha. Although they arise at the same, mostly they arise at the same moment, at the same time, with the same type of consciousness. And the last one is called ekagata. So eka means one, aga means a portion or something. So ekagata means having only one part, one portion. That means only one object. So ekagata means the state of having one object. And it is also a mental factor. And in other places, it is also called samadhi. So when we say samadhi, we mean this ekagata. Now, these 5 factors are highly developed when they reach the state of jhana. These 5 factors and other mental factors arise with kamavajra cetas also. So with the first akusala ceta, vitaka arises, vichara arises. But they are not developed, they are not strong. But here they are they are strong, they are well developed, so that they can keep the mind on the kasina object or meditation object firmly. And so these five need to be functioning properly, functioning equally, one not exceeding the other. So when they are functioning properly, in harmony, then the mind becomes so steady and firm on the object that it reaches the state of jhana. If vitāka does not take the mind to the object, vichara cannot sustain it on the object, and there can be no piti, sukha, and ekagrata. So all these five support each other. These are the five jhana factors which accompany the first jhana consciousness. So jhana means the combination of these here in the first jhana. Jhana means combination of these five factors. And jhana factors means each one of them, vitāka, vichara, and so on. And jhana citta, jhana consciousness means consciousness accompanied by these five factors. So now we have first jhana consciousness. Now we come to jhana. I told something about jhana last week, but there is some more that you understand about jhana. So please look at the sheet, today's sheet. There are two kinds of jhana. It is very important that you understand this. Now, jhana is twofold. Number one, that which examines closely the object. Now, the meaning of the word jhana is to observe closely, to examine closely, to meditate closely. So here we use examines closely. So that is the meaning of the word jhana. Which examines closely the object. That is one kind of jhana. And in Pali it is called aramanupa nijjhana. And then number two, which examines closely the characteristics, or lakhana. The Pali word lakhana is translated as characteristic, the mark. So, which examines closely the marks, the characteristics, and that is in Pali called lakhanupa nijjhana. So there are two kinds of jhanas. Say jhana of aramana and jhana of lakhana. Okay. What are the aramanas here? Aramana here means the objects of meditation, samatha meditation, like kasina discs or parts of the body or corpses and so on. Now, the 8 attainments, that means 4 rupavajara jhanas and 4 arupavajara jhanas, are called aramanupa nijjhana. That means the first one, because they examine closely or they observe closely the mental object of a kasina, etc. Not the kasina itself, but the mental object of kasina in your mind. So the jhana consciousness takes that mental object as an object. So they are called aramanupa nijjhana because they closely examine these aramanas. That means they are intently taking that object. Now, vipassana, magga, and phala are called lakhanupa nijjhana. So that is important. Whenever we find the word jhana, we think it means only rupavajara or arupavajara. But sometimes vipassana can be called jhana, Magga, Magga means path, can be called jhana, and phala, fruition, also can be called jhana. So there can be a confusion if you do not know which jhana is meant in a certain context. Now vipassana is called lakkhanupanijjhana. Now here the lakkhana, the characteristic, is closely examined. So vipassana is so called because it examines closely the characteristics of impermanence and so on. That means the impermanence, suffering, and no soul. These three are called characteristics. They are common characteristics of all conditioned phenomena. And when you practice vipassana meditation, you will see these three characteristics of whatever object you take at that moment. So vipassana can be called jhana because it examines closely these three characteristics. And magga is also called, is so called. We have not come to magga consciousness yet. It belongs to supramundane consciousness. So magga is so called because the work done by vipassana comes to be accomplished, comes to an end through magga. That means when magga is attained, when magga is reached, your vipassana is finished. So magga is actually the outcome of the practice of vipassana, but magga is not a vipaka. So vipassana's work comes to an end or reach a culmination when magga is reached, when magga is attained. So magga is also called lakkhanupanijjhana. Now, magga does not take lakkhana as object actually, because magga takes nibbana as object. But it is called here lakkhanupanijjhana, say contemplation on lakkhana, simply because the task of vipassana, which is closely examining the three characteristics, come to an end, come to the accomplishment. So magga is also called lakkhanupanijjhana. And phala also, the vipaka of magga, the resultant of magga. Phala is so called because it examines closely the truth of cessation, which is the characteristic of truth. Now nibbana is called truth of cessation here. So truth of cessation, nibbana, and phala takes nibbana as object. And nibbana has the characteristic of truth. So phala is also called lakkhanupanijjhana. Here, lakkhana means characteristic of nibbana, that is truth. But when it refers to vipassana, lakkhana means three characteristics: impermanence, suffering, and no soul. But with regard to magga and phala being called, with regard to phala being called lakkhanupanijjhana, then the word lakkhana means the characteristic of nibbana, not impermanence and so on. There is this difference. So, according to this description, jhana can mean 4 rupavajra jhanas, 4 arupavajra jhanas, and then vipassana, magga, and phala. So not that jhana means rupavajra and arupavajra jhana everywhere. Now there is a verse in Dhammapada You yourselves must make the effort. Tathagatas are only proclaimers or teachers. Those who have entered the path and examined closely by jhanas will get free from the bond of Mara. Now, here the word jhana is used. Actually, the Pali word is jayino. That means those who experience jhanas. Now, those who practice jhana, who experience jhana, will get free from the bond of Mara. That means will become enlightened, will become arahants. If we take jhana to mean just rupa vajra jhana and arupa vajra jhana, it doesn't make sense here. Because you have to practice vipassana meditation in order to become enlightened. That is why the commentary said here that two kinds of jhanas, right? Tathagatas are merely those who proclaim, hence those who have stepped on to the path in accordance with what they proclaimed and examined closely by two kinds of jhanas. So when the commentary said two kinds of jhanas, we must understand that he was referring to those two, Aramanupani jhana and Lakhanupani jhana. So in this verse, we must understand that that person practices maybe both samatha and vipassana. If you do not understand this, you will be confused here. Why is saying jhanas to mean vipassana or something like that? So now two kinds of jhana. But here in this manual and in Abhidhamma, jhana will mean only rupa vajra and arupa vajra, right? Okay. So this is Pachama jhana, first jhana consciousness. First because it is first attained. And also it comes first when Buddha taught. Okay. Then second jhana. Now attainment of jhanas is something like you go to school and say you get I don't know, grades or you get examinations and you get higher and higher. So before you finish high school, you want to finish high school. And finishing high school is great for you at that time. Then after you have finished high school, you don't think it is great. So you want to go higher, right? So you go to the university and you get a bachelor degree. But after getting the bachelor degree, you think, it's not so good. There is a higher degree, master's degree. After getting master's degree, you want to go further, PhD. And maybe not only single PhD, double PhD and so on. So in the same way, a person who has attained the first jhana may not be satisfied with just first jhana. He may want to attain the higher jhanas. So in order to do that, what must he do? In order to attain higher jhanas, what must he do? Now, first, he must make himself very familiar with this first jhana. That means he must be able to get into it the moment he wants. He must be able to get out of it the moment he wants. He must be able to be in that jhana for as long as he wishes, a minute or maybe a day. So he must have that mastery over this jhana. He must practice the first jhana again and again and again until he gains mastery over it. So after gaining mastery over it, he enters into the jhana and then review the jhana factors. So when he reviews the jhana factors, he begins to find fault with vitaka. In Visuddhimagga, 4 jhanas are given, and so it says vitaka and vichara together. So let's say now vitaka is gross. It appears to to him as growth, and vichara and others appear to him as peaceful. So when he sees that vitakka is growth, and this first jhana is near to the enemies of hindrances, he lost craving, or he lost attachment for vitakka. So he wants to get rid of vitakka. So with that desire to get rid of vitakka, he practices again on the meditation object like and so on. And so when he gets the second jhana, according to his wish and according to as a result of his willpower, vitakka was left behind. So vitakka no longer arises with the second jhana. So there are only 4 jhana factors. So the higher jhanas are attained by eliminating the grosser jhana factors. We call them gross and subtle, or gross and peaceful, but actually these jhana factors are very highly developed. But to him, it appears as gross because it is nearer to the mental hindrances, and also since it takes the mind to do the object, it is conducive to agitation. So long as there is vitakka, there is the danger to go to fall back with mental hindrances and to lose the jhana. So he finds fault with vitakka and loses interest in vitakka, and then he thinks that vichara and others are better, and so he tries to retain those 4. And so when the jhana arises as a result of his meditation, vitakka does not arise. So there are only 4 jhana factors: vichara, piti, sukha, and ekaggata. The same with others. So after getting second jhana, he finds fault with vichara also. Vichara is a friend of vitakka, and these 2 are agitating factors. So long as these 2 are there, there is always danger. So now he wants to get rid of vichara. So he practices meditation again, and as a result of his meditation, when the next jhana consciousness arises, there is no vichara. So only piti, sukha, and ekaggata. That is what? Third jhana. Now piti and jhana is very, very refined, but still he finds fault with it. Piti has also a tendency to agitation. So when you are elated, say when you have piti, you are something like that. So it makes mind also shaky. So he finds fault with piti. Sukha is better. Sukha is more peaceful. So I will eliminate piti, something like that. So he practices meditation again, and when the next jhana consciousness arises, there is no piti. So now only sukha and ekaggata. A very refined sukha and ekaggata. But still, sukha is close to piti, and piti is close to vichara and vitakka, and so it may drag him back to mental hindrances. And ekaggata is very peaceful, very stable and very peaceful. And so he loses interest in sukha also. And so he practices meditation, and when the next jhana consciousness arises, that consciousness is accompanied by upekha, not sukha, not somanasa. He finds fault with somanasa also, right? Nowadays, we are going after somanasa. We want to be happy, right? Whatever we do, wherever we go, or in whatever situation we are in, we want to be happy. And we talk about happiness, and we think of it very much. because we have not experienced the very high form of happiness. But here, this person who has attained the fourth jhana even finds fault with happiness. So happiness is also a little agitated. So long as it is there, mind can be shaken. So I will eliminate it and instead get ubeka, equanimity. So when the fifth jhana arises, it is accompanied by ubeka, and accompanied by how many factors? 2 jhana factors. So first jhana is accompanied by how many factors? 5. Second jhana, 4. Third jhana, 3. Fourth jhana, 2. Sukha and ekagrata. And fifth jhana also 2. Ubeka and ekagrata. So the factors are eliminated one by one. But between fourth and fifth, there are two jhana factors, but different factors. Instead of sukha, there is ubeka and fifth jhana. These are the types of consciousness experienced by people, non-enlightened, and also those who are enlightened but who are not yet arahants. We talk about the word seika, right? Trainees. Now, if a person gets, say, one of these 5 jhanas, and he dies with these jhanas intact, that means he is able to enter into this jhana easily, then he will be reborn in the world of Brahmas, in the 31 planes of existence. The first 11 are sense sphere, right? And then there are 16 which are called Brahma, form Brahma. And then above them 4 are called formless or immaterial Brahmas. So if a person gets the first jhana here and he dies with that jhana intact, he will be reborn in the Rupa Vajra form Brahmas. And at the rebirth as a Brahma, the consciousness, the first consciousness, the rebirth consciousness arising there is the resultant of this first jhana. So first jhana gives the first jhana resultant. Same way, second jhana gives the second jhana resultant, and so on. So they give identical result, these Rupa Vajra Chetas, not like Kama Vajra Kusalas. Kama Vajra Kusala Chetas may give both identical and non-identical results. You will find them in the 5th chapter. But these 5 Rupa Vajra Kusalas and also Arupa Vajra Kusalas, they give identical results. So if a person gets the first jhana here and dies with this jhana intact, and his rebirth consciousness as a Brahma will be the first jhana resultant consciousness. The same with if a person gets a second jhana and so on. So there are, just as there are 5 wholesome form sphere consciousness, so there are 5 wholesome resultant form sphere consciousness. I mean, not wholesome, resultant form sphere consciousness. So the same as in the chart, the same as Rupa Vajra Kusala. So we should say first jhana consciousness with vitaka, vichara, piti, sukha, and ekagata, and so on and so on. So these 5 resultant consciousness arise only in the world of Brahmas. They do not arise in the sense sphere. So these 5 resultant consciousness will not arise in human beings. They will arise only in the minds of Brahmas. Now the next 5 is Rupa Vajra Kiriya Citas. What is Kiriya? Just happening, just doing. Now Kiriya Citas can arise only in what? Arahants, right? Yeah. So when a person, after becoming an Arahant, practices the kasina meditation, and he gets the jhana, then his jhana is said to be Rupa Vajra Kiriya Citta. First jhana Rupa Vajra Citta. The same with second, third, fourth, and fifth. So the Kiriya Cittas are for Arahants only. That means Buddhas and Arahants. Buddhas, Pachika Buddhas and Arahants only. So altogether we have 15 Rupa Vajra Cittas, 15 form sphere Cittas, 5 wholesome, 5 resultant, and 5 functional. Right. The 5 wholesome can arise in sense sphere and also in form sphere. But the second 5 can arise only in form sphere. The third can arise in sense sphere and also in form sphere. And the third 5 are experienced by Arahants only. Now, in the texts, and also in Abhidhammattha saṅgaha, jhanas, when Buddha described jhana, he used different description. I want you to be familiar with that too. So please turn to description of jhanas in the texts. In the manual, in the manual we are studying, jhanas are described by way of their factors. Vitaka, vichara, first jhana consciousness with vitaka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekagata, and so on. But when Buddha described jhanas in the text, in the discourses, as well as in Abhidhamma, he described in another way. Not all the factors are mentioned in the description. So they are first jhana, quite secluded from sense pleasures, quite secluded from unwholesome states, a monk attains and dwells in the first jhana, which is accompanied by initial application. Now you find one jhana factor, accompanied by sustained application, another factor, is born of seclusion, is with rapture, piti, and happiness, sukha, or is with rapture and happiness which are born of seclusion. So here, how many jhana factors do you find? Vitaka, vichara, piti, and sukha. No ekagata is mentioned here, right? Yeah. But we must understand that without ekagata there can be no jhana. Second jhana. with the non-appearance of initial application and sustained application. Oh, I must have told you the four-fold jhana method first, but let's say I'll go to that later. So here, in order to get to second jhana, the monk will eliminate two at the same time, Vitakka and Vijara at the same time. So here, with the non-appearance of initial application and sustained application, he attains and dwells in the second jhana, which is internal, clarifying, makes singleness of mind grow, and is without initial application and sustained application, is born of concentration, and is with rapture and happiness. So here, piti and sukha are mentioned, right? Vitakka and Vijara are mentioned, but they are eliminated factors. So only piti and sukha are mentioned. Okay, let's look at the third jhana. With the disgusting of rapture as well as of its disappearance, or with the overcoming of rapture as well as disappearance of initial application and sustained application, he dwells in equanimity, upekha, is mindful and clearly comprehending, and he experiences happiness, sukha, with his body and in mind. He attains and dwells in the third jhana, on account of which the noble ones announce, he is with equanimity, is mindful, and dwells in happiness. How many jhana factors do you find here?
3.
Huh? What is one, or what are two, what are three? Do you find sukha? Yeah. Sukha.
And
No, you do not find rapture. Rapture is mentioned, but it is eliminated.
upekha.
Equanimity, happiness. That's all. Oh, yeah.
This is the third and fourth.
This is the third jhana, right? Now equanimity here does not mean indifferent feeling. It is another mental factor. We have not gone to the second chapter yet. So, the word upekha is used for indifferent feeling as well as for that mental factor. One mental factor. It is translated as equanimity because it does not fall into either side. It stays in the middle. So that is called, in Pali, called tatra majjadana. So we will come to that in the second chapter. So here equanimity means not feeling upekha. It is another kind of upekha. So we find only one factor here, right? Happiness. And then fourth jhana, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain and with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, he attains and dwells in the fourth jhana, which is neither accompanied by pain nor by pleasure and is with purity of mindfulness caused by equanimity. Here also equanimity is tatra majjadana. So here no jhana factor is mentioned. So this is how Buddha described jhana, both in discourses and in Abhidhamma. Now, in the discourses, almost always 4 jhanas are mentioned, not 5. But in Abhidhamma, 4 jhanas as well as 5 jhanas are mentioned, because Abhidhamma deals with what is there, and so it has to be complete. So in Abhidhamma, four-fold method, that means 4 jhanas are mentioned and also 5 jhanas are mentioned. But in the discourses, only 4 jhanas are mentioned. So you may read the jhanas in different discourses. and you will find only 4 of them. For example, in the second discourse in Digha Nikaya, only 4 will be mentioned there. So, please turn to page 58, and the bottom paragraph. Although the sutras do not mention the 5-fold analysis of jhana in explicit terms, they provide an implicit basis for this analysis in the Buddha's distinction between 3 kinds of concentration. In some sutras, Buddha mentions 3 kinds of concentrations, that means 3 kinds of jhanas. And they are concentration accompanied by both initial application and sustained application. Next, concentration without initial application but with sustained application. And third, concentration with neither initial application nor sustained application. So Buddha mentions 3 kinds of samadhis, 3 kinds of concentration. The first is obviously the first jhana in both systems. So there is no problem here. The first jhana, the first concentration here, which is accompanied by both vitaka and vichara. And the third means without initial application and sustained application. So, what jhanas are without initial application and sustained application? Third, fourth, fifth, right? In the 4-fold method, it is second, third, and fourth. We'll come to that later. So, the second, however, is nowhere clarified within the sutras themselves. So, in the sutras, only 4 are mentioned. So, among these 4, there is no concentration which meets the description here. That is, concentration without initial application but sustained application. So, although 5 jhanas are not mentioned explicitly in the sutras, but in some sutras, Buddha implicitly mentioned 5 jhanas, because if we do not take jhanas to be 5, the second kind of concentration will be meaningless. Because in the 4-fold method, the first is with vitaka and vichara, the second without vitaka and vichara, third, fourth also without vitaka and vichara. So there is jhana with vitaka and vichara and without vitaka and vichara. But there is no jhana which is with vitaka, without vitaka, but with vichara. If we take jhana to be 4 jhanas. So, although Buddha did not mention 5 jhanas one by one in the sutras, according to that division of concentration into 3 kinds, then there must be what is called the second jhana in the 5-fold method. So please turn to the page where 4-fold and 5-fold method jhanas are shown. Factors in jhanas. So I should have gone that first. So, factors in jhanas. 5-fold method and 4-fold method. So 5-fold method means 5 jhanas method, and 4-fold means 4 jhana method. We are studying the manual, so we are more familiar with the 5-fold method which is mentioned in the manual. So according to that, you already understand, right? First jhana has vitaka, vichara, piti, sukha, and ekagrata, 5 factors. Second jhana has vichara, piti, sukha, and ekagrata. And third jhana has piti, sukha, ekagrata. Fourth jhana, sukha, ekagrata. Fifth jhana, ubhika, ekagrata. In the fourfold method, the second jhana of fivefold method is lost. Because in the fourfold method, Vitakka and Vichara are eliminated at one stroke, not one by one. So when Vitakka and Vichara are eliminated one by one, there comes to be five jhanas. But there are individuals whose samadhi, whose concentration and whose wisdom are so strong that they are able to eliminate two at one time. So for them, there are only four jhanas. So for them, the second jhana would be without both Vitakka and Vichara, right? So the third jhana, so their second jhana corresponds to the third jhana in fivefold method, right? And then their third jhana corresponds to fourth jhana and fivefold method, and their fifth jhana corresponds to the fifth jhana and fivefold method. So there are these two methods, fivefold method and fourfold method. If you understand fivefold method, you can easily understand fourfold method. So in the Sodas, fourfold method is already met with, but not the fivefold method explicitly. But as I said again and again, when Buddha divided concentration into three, he said there is concentration which is without Vitakka but with Vichara. So according to fourfold method, that cannot be formed, right? There is a blank in the column fourfold method because it must not have Vitakka, but it must have Vichara. So that is the second jhana in the fivefold method, and in the fourfold method there is nothing. So so we can say that Buddha taught both fourfold method and fivefold method even in the discourses or even in the Sodas. So the Rupavachara Cetas are said to be those that are attained, higher jhanas, that are attained by eliminating the jhana factors. There will come, we'll have to talk about difference between Rupavachara Cetas and Arupavachara Cetas later. So Arupavachara Cetas are not like that, they have a different order. So in order to get the higher jhanas in Rupavachara Cetas, one has to eliminate what are called the gross factors, one by one or say two at a time, like that. So the object remains the same for these jhanas. For example, a person gets first jhana with earth kasina, then his second jhana will be also take the earth kasina also. So if he gets all five jhanas or up until the fifth jhana, the object may be the same. What are different there are the mental jhana factors. So in the Rupavachara jhanas, the difference is the number of jhana factors. But the object is the same. But in the formless status, they will be different. And when a person is in the state of jhana, say he is very peaceful and he is in real happiness. And in one Sutta and Majjhima Nikaya, Buddha explains that that is given at the bottom of the page, description of jhanas in the text. On such an occasion, he does not strive for his own affliction, or for another's affliction, or for the affliction of both. So when a person is in jhana, he does not do anything, say, to harm him, or to harm another, or to harm both him and another. On that occasion, he feels only feeling that is free from affliction. So he feels only feeling that is sukha, so that is somanasa. Gratification in the case of feeling has freedom from affliction as its highest aspect. That is, freedom from affliction is the highest aspect of gratification in the case of feeling. That means freedom from affliction is the best kind of feeling, that is sukha. But as you know, upekkha is better and higher than sukha. Please read the manual. And in manual there is mention made of whether the jhana chetas are prompted or unprompted and so on. So I don't want to dwell on this because nobody is sure. One author saying one thing and another author saying another. We don't know whom to side with. So it is better ignored. And it will not affect our understanding of the jhanas. So I just want to ignore it. So, instead of finding out whether they are prompted or unprompted, you can read in the manual if you want to. Okay. You have questions?
When going through the path of insight, is it possible not to go through the jhanas but to still experience magga-phala and
Yes. Yeah.
and what's the difference whether you experience jhana or not?
Whenever Buddha described a monk progressing along the spiritual path, he always mentions jhanas. That is why some people take it to mean that we must first practice jhana before we practice vipassana. But that is not true. Jhana is for strong concentration and also for some psychic powers. If one has jhana, and after jhana he can move to vipassana very easily because he has practiced concentration, and so he gets good concentration. So the moment he changes to jhana, vipassana, he can take the object without being distracted because he had experience of keeping his mind on the object. But when we practice vipassana first, as we all do here, we have to develop that kind of concentration because our minds goes out here and there very often, and so if we can get jhana first, then it would be easier to move to vipassana. But trying to get jhana may take much long time. That is why people are not interested in doing jhana before they practice vipassana. But the path and fruition can be attained without the jhana. So there are people who are called dry vipassana practitioners. That means those who practice vipassana only. And the others are called practitioners of samatha. That means practitioners of both samatha and vipassana. And there is one discourse in the Anguttara Nikaya where it is explained. You can practice samatha first and then do vipassana, or you can practice vipassana, and in vipassana there is a kind of samatha.
When using objects in samatha, using kasinas or body parts or brahmaviharas, is there any trauma difference in the result of paying attention to kasina or paying attention to metta, in terms of not well in any way?
Kasinas are taken as object mostly for the psychic powers. So there is a difference in the results obtained from different kinds of kasina. For example, say after getting the abhinya, supernormal power, so if you want to fly through the air, then you have to make yourself lighter, right? So you have to get into jhana with, say, air kasina as object or fire kasina as object. Then if you want to give out smoke, then you have to enter into fire kasina and so on. So in that case, there is difference of results from the practice of kasina meditation and others.
What do you mean when a person who has practiced, and I assume you mastered the jhanas, that when they die and the jhanas are still intact?
Right.
What does that mean?
Yeah, intact means just he's able to enter into jhana. Sometimes a person gets jhana at one time
In their life?
in his life, and then he may give it up. He may not do it anymore, and so he is not able to get into the jhana at that moment. So such a person is called one who has lost his jhana.
Is that still Vedic karma or kama? You know, at death, does that cause a cause for Vedic kama?
It does not amount to a weighty karma because he has lost it. So although he had gained jhana at one time, since it is not with him at that time, I mean, he is not able to enter into it, it does not become a weighty karma for him. So he may not be reborn as in a Brahma world.
So is your practice of jhana more a Hindu practice than Buddhist, or is it accepted in Buddhism?
I think we should call it Buddhist practice because Buddha mentioned jhanas again and again. But many people think that the jhanas are, say, they have sources in Hindu practices. But there are people who even say that Buddha did not teach jhanas. So these are added later by monks under the influence of, say, Vedic practices. But I cannot agree with that. Because now you have read the description of first, second jhana and so on. I don't think there is such a detailed explanation of jhanas in, say, Vedic literature. There is mention of jhanas there or dhyanas, but not as systematic and as detailed as in the Buddhist description of jhanas. So I have some doubt whether the jhanas, as mentioned in the Buddhist literature, Buddhist sutras, are in the Hindu books. So when Bodhisattva went to Alara and Uddaka, he got the instructions for the attainment of the third and the fourth Arupa Vajrayana respectively. And many people describe those teachers as Vedic teachers, but nowhere in our books it mentions that they are Vedic teachers. They are just teachers. So we do not really know whether they belong to Vedic religion or to some other religion or some other practice, some other faith. We are not sure. So it is not, I think, safe to say that they are Vedic teachers. They may or they may not.
There's also with, aside from the fact that the result of concentration of mind and samatha practice and the skills it gives to vipassana for bringing the mind to the object, vitakka vichara, is there any time in the rupa jhanas that you can, maybe even through upekkha, is there a possibility of being able to use equanimity jhana in a vipassana way, having begun with samatha as the object?
Now, the difference between samatha and vipassana as regards,
I mean, just a switch.
yeah, as regards object is most samatha meditations, most kinds of samatha meditation take concepts as object, but vipassana takes reality as object. So that is different. So if a person has attained the first jhana here, taking kasina as object, he cannot take that same kasina as the object of vipassana meditation. So he can take the factors of jhana themselves or the jhana consciousness themselves as the object of vipassana. So that is the difference. So maybe just difference of technique or something like that.
And you, I think, also said that jhanas are not, I'm still a little ignorant about the word, resultant. And I seem to remember the legendary story about the Buddha as a child watching his father plowing the field, and he fell into what I think was described as second jhana, second jhana. Do you care to make a comment about that?
Yeah, it is said in our books that the child, when he was left alone, so the child just sat up, and then he practiced breathing meditation, anapanasati meditation, and he attained the first jhana then.
First?
It is said it is first jhana, and then it may taper off, and then he had no recollection of that until during the time when he was practicing austerities in the forest, right? So while after spending almost 6 years mortifying his body, and he could not make any progress, he reviewed his practice and he found it to be wrong. And then at that time he remembered that incident. So when I was a child and when my father was doing blowing ceremony, I got into that practice and I felt very peaceful at that time. So that must be the correct way. So he decided that, and then he decided to practice meditation again. But he was so emaciated, he was so thin and so weak that he had to take food again first. So it was at that time that the 5 disciples left him in disgust.
So it didn't occur spontaneously. It actually occurred as a result of he, as a youngster, doing anapana.
Yes. Yeah.
What he wants to ask is that jhana was vipaka when he was, that's the question.
Oh no, that was not vipaka. That is kusala jhana. Wholesome.
When I heard mention about some people might lose their mental stability due to meditation, is that one of the danger with samatha meditation?
Mostly yes. Yeah. In samatha meditation, when the frightening signs appear to the meditator, he may not know what to do about them. So he may lose stability of mind, or he may even go insane or something like that. But in vipassana, we are instructed to how to deal with these objects. That means just pay attention to these objects. And so we are able to treat them with mindfulness, and so they do not have bad effects on our minds. But in samatha, there is no such teaching. You just keep on the object and be mindful of it, just that. When these frightening signs appear to him, he doesn't know what to do. Okay.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Shall we share merit? This is great merit, right? Buddha said the greatest of gift is Dhamma gift. So Dhamma gift, giving Dhamma and also accepting Dhamma is a great gift. So let us share merit. Please repeat after me. May all beings share this merit.
May all beings share this merit,
Which we have thus acquired.
which we have thus acquired,
For the acquisition of all kinds of happiness.
for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness.
May beings inhabiting space and earth,
May beings in space and earth,
deities and others of mighty power,
deities and others of mighty power,
share this merit of ours.
share this merit of ours.
May they long protect the teachings.
May they long protect the teaching. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.